You know, it's so interesting because when you look back at how the Xbox One was treated early on in the generation, we saw a stark difference in contrast between how it's getting treated now. We also see things that people would accuse the Xbox One of or poke fun of at the Xbox One. Obviously, the main issue was resolution. There was Resolution Gate that was created by various news outlets, gaming media, and of course, such sites as NeoGAF, N4G, social media. The media ran with this, various 900p, 720p box things. Now we see that the PS4 has its fair share of non-1080p games, and it did right from the beginning. Let's be clear here that the game Killzone Shadowfall, which was touted as 1080p by Yoshida himself, ended up not being 1080p. We now know that they were using temporal reprojection, and it was some kind of like funky nonsense that really made the game out to be, the online portion anyway, to the equivalent of around 780p, something along those lines. They did that in order to achieve 60 frames per second in the multiplayer, which again, even lowering the resolution to that didn't help the game overall achieve a full 1080p or a 60 frames per second. So even with a bunch of trickery and things like that, it didn't work out. Nobody fell for it. Nobody cared. They even were sued at one point over it, and I don't think much ever came of it. But it was pretty clear that they didn't actually, make the game 1080p like they were claiming. So, of course, I'm going to bring this up. Tekken 7 is a game that's coming out soon, and it's actually coming out next month, and it's going to be on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. No real indication on what this thing will run as far as resolution-wise on the Xbox One. It's a good bet it'll probably run a little bit less than 900p, since the PS4 version, the mighty PS4 version, will be running at 900p, which, according to Digital Foundry, they said that they've done their calculations by pixel counting of the game on a regular PS4 and found that the resolution to be running at 900p. 900p, folks. That's the worst thing in the world. The PS4 is clearly the resolution box. 900p. Hashtag resolution gate. Come on, let's start complaining. Let's start saying this is unacceptable. Right? Oh wait, no. Gamers don't actually do that. Do they? No. Come on. Gamers don't really care about resolution. Only when it's on the Xbox, of course they care, right? Only when it's on the Xbox One. But per Digital Foundry, they counted the pixels on a regular PS4 version. It's 900p, resulting in a quote-unquote softer image quality, although this resolution means the game runs mostly at a solid 60 frames per second. So they lowered the resolution, and it still isn't quite locked at 60 frames per second. No information was known on the PS4 Pro version of the game, but we don't have to think that far back to remember the nonsense that people used to throw at the Xbox One when Killer Instinct was running at less than 1080p resolutions, which, guess what? It still does. Killer Instinct on the Xbox One is 900p, but I think it runs at the equivalent of 120 frames per second, even though they capped it at 60. And I don't think there's another fighting game that has as much going on the screen at the same time, with as far as the particle effects and things like that, because there's actually quite a bit going on in the background of Killer Instinct, as far as you can tell with what's going on. And I think that says a lot for the Xbox One and how they've actually managed to come back quite a bit in this generation. If you remember, it ran at 720p at launch, and people threw a fit. Even when it was boosted up to 900p, people still blew a fit and said, oh, it's just a fighting game. It can't even run a fighting game at 900p or at 1080p. I mean, this was the stuff that the Xbox One got early and often, and so I think it's only fair that we say, hey, where's the PS4's power at now, son? 900p for a fighting game? Yeah, I mean, look, this resolution stuff was always nonsense to me, since resolution is obviously not graphics. It was a false narrative. It was just something that people ran with in order to cover for the fact that the PS4 lacked games at the beginning of the generation. It gets some games now, and so what? Now it's not about power anymore and resolution, it's about games, right? Because it's perceived that the Xbox One doesn't have them. So it changes from day to day depending on, what's going on Sony land. Now we see that resolution doesn't matter. Nobody seems to care. which maybe they shouldn't care about this in particular, but they shouldn't have cared about it back when it was a problem on the Xbox One either. Just saying. Let me know what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out the channel tremendously. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.